Every man wants to win with women, but most fail, not because they're weak, but because they don't know what not to do. You see, attraction isn't only built by what you say or how you act. It's destroyed by the subtle mistakes you make without even realizing it. And the harsh truth? Most men repeat the same patterns. They chase validation, they overinvest, they ignore red flags, and then they wonder why respect dies. But smart men move differently. Today I'm going to reveal 9 deadly mistakes you must never make with women. If you can avoid these traps, you won't just attract women, you'll command their respect. And that respect is worth far more than fleeting attention. 1. Don't chase her validation. Smart men understand that the moment you start living for a woman's approval, you've already lost the game. Validation feels good. Her compliments, her laughter at your jokes, her warmth when she's happy with you. But the second you start relying on it, you're no longer leading. You're performing. Most men don't see this trap until it's too late. They check their phones anxiously, waiting for her reply. They replay conversations in their heads, wondering if she liked what they said. They bend their schedule, their values, and their energy just to keep her happy. That might win you her temporary attention, but it will cost you her long-term respect. Psychologists call this external validation dependency. It's the same mechanism that hooks people into social media likes. The brain starts craving the dopamine hit of approval, and before long, you're chasing it instead of living authentically. Women sense this instantly. A man addicted to their validation is no longer mysterious, he's predictable, and predictability kills attraction. The Stoic man flips the script. He doesn't ignore validation, but he doesn't chase it. He leads with his values, his mission, his sense of self. If she approves, fine. If she doesn't, his path doesn't waver. That independence makes his validation scarce, and scarcity makes it powerful. Here's the paradox. The less you need her validation, the more she gives it freely, and the more you chase it, the faster it disappears. Smart men know this. They don't run after approval, they command it by never needing it. 2. Don't reveal everything too soon. One of the biggest mistakes men make with women is oversharing. In the name of honesty or connection, they unload their entire life story, their struggles, their secrets, even their emotions, before the woman has even earned that level of intimacy. On the surface, this looks like vulnerability, but in reality, it destroys mystery, and mystery is the engine of attraction. Psychologists talk about the power of progressive disclosure. Humans value information more when it comes in pieces, when it unfolds slowly, when there's still more to discover. If you hand her everything at once, your ambitions, your scars, your deepest fears, you rob her of the curiosity that keeps her engaged. She doesn't get to wonder. She doesn't get to chase. Women are wired to crave discovery. The man who doesn't reveal himself all at once becomes a puzzle, a story she wants to keep reading. The man who spills everything immediately, he becomes predictable, even boring. The Stoic man knows the value of silence. He listens more than he speaks. He reveals selectively, with discipline, not to play games, but because he knows that not everyone deserves access to his inner world. By controlling what he shares and when, he creates an aura of depth, strength, and control. Remember this: when you make yourself too available, whether it's your time, your energy, or your story, you kill her curiosity. Smart men know that less is often more. They reveal themselves slowly, deliberately, always leaving her hungry for more. 3. Don't let lust control you. Desire is natural, but when you let lust control you, you stop thinking clearly, and that's when mistakes happen. Many men sabotage themselves because they allow physical attraction to blind them to reality. They ignore red flags, compromise their standards, and even give away power. just because they're chasing the high of desire. This is where women test men the hardest. She knows when you're controlled by your own impulses. She can sense when you're not listening to her words, but only staring at her body. And in that moment, she realizes she holds the power. Because a man ruled by lust is a man who can be manipulated. Psychologists call this reward dominance. The brain, flooded with dopamine, begins to override logic in favor of chasing the next reward. It's the same mechanism that drives addictions, and it can destroy a man's judgment when it comes to women. The Stoics warned against this. They taught that the man who cannot master his desires becomes a slave. And this is truer now than ever. Smart men don't suppress their attraction, but they control it. They remain composed, disciplined and grounded, even in the presence of temptation. Here's the paradox. The moment you stop being consumed by lust, your energy shifts. You become calmer, harder to impress, more mysterious. And that very control makes you more desirable, because women are drawn to men who want them, but don't need them. Smart men never let lust override judgment. They see clearly, choose wisely, and refuse to trade self-respect for a moment of pleasure. 4. Don't ignore red flags just because she's beautiful. One of the most common ways men lose themselves with women is by overlooking obvious red flags. She's rude to waiters. She talks badly about her ex, but never admits her own mistakes. She's constantly on her phone, secretive with her time, or flirts with other men to get your attention. Deep down, you feel something's off, but because she's attractive, because she triggers your desire, you bury that instinct. This is the beginning of destruction. Beauty blinds, and when you let it blind you, you trade long-term peace for short-term pleasure. Smart men know this. No amount of beauty is worth a lifetime of chaos. Psychologists call this halo effect. It's the tendency to assume that because someone has one positive trait, like physical beauty, they must also have others, like kindness, loyalty, or intelligence. But beauty doesn't equal virtue. If anything, beauty can mask dysfunction longer, because men are too hypnotized to see clearly. The Stoic man refuses to be blinded. He doesn't excuse bad behavior because of good looks. He observes character over charm. He knows that beauty fades, but a woman's mindset, values, and integrity last forever. And he would rather walk away from the most beautiful disaster than stay and burn for the sake of her body. Smart men don't ignore red flags. They see them, respect them, and leave. Because one ignored red flag today becomes a war tomorrow. 5. Don't try to impress her by being someone you're not. In the age of curated images and social masks, many men fall into the trap of performance. They act cooler, tougher, or wealthier than they really are. They inflate stories, exaggerate achievements, or pretend to like things they don't, just to win approval. Here's the harsh truth. Women might fall for the act temporarily, but they always sense the performance. And once they do, respect dies. Because the one thing women can't forgive is fakery. Psychologists call this impression management fatigue. When you live inauthentically, it drains you. You start resenting her for liking the fake version of you instead of the real one. And sooner or later, the mask slips. When it does, the disappointment is worse than if you'd been honest from the start. The Stoic man doesn't perform. He doesn't try to be what she wants. He shows up as who he is, direct, grounded, unpolished if necessary. Because he understands this paradox, the more you try to impress, the less impressive you become, and the less you try, the more she chases. Women don't fall in love with the man who plays a part. They fall in love with the man who's so secure in himself, he doesn't need to. Smart men know this, and that's why they never lose their authenticity in the pursuit of attraction. 6. Don't hand over your entire life too quickly. One of the most dangerous mistakes men make is giving a woman complete access to their time, their energy, and their world far too soon. The moment she shows interest, they drop their friends, abandon their goals, and make her the center of everything. At first, she might enjoy it. She might even say she loves the attention. But over time, she begins to feel something else, suffocation, because women respect men who have their own lives, their own missions, their own structure. Psychologists call this self-abandonment. When you make someone else your entire identity, you lose the very qualities that made you attractive in the first place. She was drawn to your independence, your ambition, your energy. But when you give it all up for her, she loses the challenge, and attraction fades. The Stoic man never abandons himself. He integrates a woman into his world without giving her the keys to his kingdom on day one. He remains focused on his mission, his circle, his purpose, and in doing so, he keeps the very aura that drew her to him alive. Smart men understand that love is a part of life, not the whole thing. The moment you hand over your entire life to a woman, you stop being the man she fell for and start being the man she leaves. 8. Don't overinvest. When she underinvests. Relationships are built on balance. When a man gives 10 times more than a woman does, attraction dies. Not because women don't like attention, but because they instinctively stop respecting men who overinvest when they haven't earned it. You've seen this before. He texts paragraphs. She replies with one word. He plans extravagant dates. She barely shows up. He sacrifices everything. She sacrifices nothing. And yet he stays. That's not devotion. That's desperation. Psychologists call this investment imbalance. Human beings naturally value what they work for. When something comes too easily, it loses its grip on our emotions. If she isn't investing time, effort, and energy into you, and you keep pouring yourself into her, you're teaching her one thing: you don't value yourself. The Stoic man doesn't fall into this trap. He matches energy, not fantasies. If she gives effort, he gives effort. If she pulls back, he observes, not chases. And if she consistently underinvests, he withdraws completely, because he knows chasing where there's no effort only erodes his dignity. Smart men never overinvest when a woman underinvests. They'd rather walk away empty-handed than empty themselves for someone unwilling to meet them halfway. 9. Don't let her define your worth. Perhaps the greatest mistake men make is letting a woman define their value. They rise when she praises them and crumble when she criticizes them. Their entire sense of identity hangs on her words. But here's the truth. No one, man or woman, respects someone whose worth depends on their validation. Your worth doesn't come from her approval. It comes from your discipline, your mission, your actions, and your consistency. When you hand her the power to decide who you are, you make her the judge of your existence. And no woman truly loves a man she can control at that level. Psychologists describe this as external locus of control. It's the belief that your value lies outside of yourself. But the Stoic man flips this. He roots his worth internally. Praise doesn't inflate him. Criticism doesn't break him. He listens, but he's not defined by what others say, least of all a woman testing his frame. Smart men know this. The moment you let a woman define your worth, you hand her your power. And the moment you hold your worth regardless of her opinion, you become the kind of man she can't help but respect. If you want more unfiltered truths about women and psychology, the lessons they'll never tell you but live by every single day, hit that subscribe button right now. And drop the word respect in the comments. if you're ready to stop making these mistakes and start playing the game like a smart man. Because once you stop doing the wrong things, the right women will find you impossible to ignore.